Uh, okay, I think I'm live, but the camera's not working. I got to change my. Say it was working. Give me a minute here, guys. I got to figure this out. I don't know if I can. Hang on, I may have to disconnect and reconnect. Hey, there we go. Good grief. Had a little bit of an issue there for a second, but I think we're all good now. Camera seems to be working. Mic's working. I think we're going well. It just took a minute to get connected there. Let me get. I see we've got several people in here already and some chat going on. So let me get the disclaimers out of the way. You guys are here all the time. You already know them. You already know the rules. There's not a whole lot of them. This is the weekly live broadcast pretty much every Thursday evening. This is where I am, 7 o'clock Central Time. I do my best to respond to all the chat that comes in during the live broadcast. So if you've got questions, whatever you want to talk about, it doesn't matter to me. No topic really is taboo. We can talk religion and politics, all the controversial stuff. The only things I ask, be polite, be family friendly, don't start cussing anybody, don't call anybody names. We can have differences of opinions, and we can still be friends. So I don't mind a good friendly debate. Just like I said, be nice about it. All right, let's jump into it. We've got Andrew here from Fairbanks, Alaska. Says, hope everyone's doing well. Hopefully you are too. Thanks for joining. We got Life Done Cheap. Hello, everyone. Hope all is well from Ohio. Good to see you, and thank you for joining too. Andrew said, just had an absolutely horrible experience with a vendor getting hatching eggs. They didn't label them as hatching eggs, even though I requested that in the transaction notes. And then there's more. It took 18 days to get the package. Post office said if it was labeled correctly, it would have gotten here in 7, or I could file a claim, but because it wasn't, I'm SOL. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you try to contact the seller maybe and let them know? Because they may be able to do something about it. Hopefully they can, but otherwise, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. That is terrible. Hopefully if you contact them, they'll do something about it. Let's see. We've got Don here. Says, good evening, Chris and everyone from South Central Illinois. It's getting ready to storm. Well, hopefully it's not any bad storms. We've got possible storms tomorrow, I think early in the day, and then Saturday late in the day. Hopefully not too early because I need to get some yard work quite a bit done. It's a free tree limb drop-off day Saturday, so I'm going to try to get a bunch of my brush cleared up and get it off to the free tree limb drop-off location. Homestead Matters says, howdy y'all from Eugene, Oregon. Hope everyone's doing well. I am. Hopefully you are too. Life Done Cheap with Lee said, butchered my first quail this evening a lot easier than I thought. Yeah, if you don't overthink it, it is actually easier than you think. I mean, it should never be super easy, I don't think. You should always, it shouldn't be super easy to put, to dispatch an animal, but it's not nearly, if you don't overthink it, like I said, it's really not that hard. Hard part is just getting over the fact that you're dispatching an animal. I mean, I've been a lifelong hunter and fisher, and so I've processed a lot of animals. I've hunted a lot of animals. Never really had a problem with any of that. But the first time it's like right there, close and personal in your hands, and you've got to do it. It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit different. But if you don't overthink it, like I said, it's usually not that bad. But anyway, well done on that, by the way. So I'm glad it worked out well. Cesar Reyes is here. He says, hello, Chris and everyone. Hello to you. Thank you for joining. And G. Michael says, time for SRTV. I guess that's Slightly Redneck TV, huh? Good evening from, is that Salt Lake City, Utah, I think it is. So good evening to you, and thank you for joining. Tara Bless Tara Wells says, God bless, with a British flag, I think it is. So from the UK, maybe? I don't know. I'm guessing. God bless you, too. Alan says, hey, Chris and everyone from Southeast Virginia. Good to see you, Alan. Andrew says, I contacted the seller. They said, sorry, we don't label as eggs. That's just what they do. We're quite rude about it. Well, I guess, I don't know. I guess you wouldn't use that seller again. I don't know who it was. But sorry about that. I mean, I wish there was something you could do about it. Don says, it's very easy for me to dispatch an injured quail that is in pain. I do it ASAP. Yeah, that's a little different, I think. I agree with you. It's a little bit easier if they're in pain or something like that. And, it's a suffering issue and you're ending their suffering. That's a little bit easier to do. Anyway, Andrew says, they even said if you don't like how we do things, I can recommend other vendors. Makes me really wonder about that company. Yeah, no kidding. That seems like that's my Shire said that. Really, I'm kind of surprised. Zach's usually pretty good about. No, he's a pretty friendly guy. He's usually pretty good about that. I'm kind of surprised. Caesar says got 40 eggs on lockdown today. Fingers crossed. Well, good luck. Hopefully you get a good hatch out of those. And I do understand that. Yeah, you never expected Zach to be like that. Well, I mean, it does kind of surprise me too because I mean, I've dealt with Zach a lot. He's a good guy. He's a pretty nice guy, and I'm kind of surprised that if he was rude to you at all. What I would say is, I do understand from their standpoint about having a hard. I mean, he ships out so many eggs; it's really hard to do custom things like that and keep up with it. I'm kind of surprised why. Also, on the other side of that too, why it would be quicker for shipped eggs than any other kind of package through your post office. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would they? Do they just purposefully hold packages for an extended period of time? I mean, it doesn't make any sense why it would take longer to deliver something unless it's labeled a certain way. I don't get it. But anyhow, I am sorry you had that experience. Life Done Cheap with Lee says my 4-month-old doe has poopy butt. I cleaned her and I'm pushing just hay. Is there anything else I can do without chemicals? 4-month-old doe has no. That's probably the best thing that you could do. Just feed her nothing but hay. Put her on a strict hay diet for a day or two, and hopefully it clears up. Cindy Rapp says hello to everyone. Hello to you too. Hey, there's Linda. Linda Easton Waller says hello everyone. Tuning in from Sacramento while picking mulberries. Good to be here. Well, hey, we're glad to have you here too. Thank you for joining. Homestead Matters says this year has been so bad for shipping eggs. Really? Like, I mean, you've had bad experiences with it, or? I'm not sure why it would be worse than any other time. I don't know. I don't know why. Andrew said, sits Alaska normal packages they put on a boat from Seattle to Anchorage. Things labeled as live or perishable get air transport. Okay, well, I guess that makes sense. I mean, yeah, okay. I understand. I'll see if I can. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. I wish that there was. Yeah, and that's why you requested the labeling. Yeah, I absolutely understand it completely. Yeah, I mean, you would have to, wouldn't you? Sax Place says, hello all, Southwest Ohio, checking in. Well, good to see you. Thank you for joining. G. Michael wants to know, how are the grow outs doing? I don't know if you're talking about the grow out rabbits or the grow out quail, because I just hatched a bunch of quail, but they're all doing just fine. No problems whatsoever. Sold 5 of my black does yesterday to Andy Rabbit, who is here. She came by and picked them up. So got those sold. So I'm down to 3 blues still left. $2 and a doe. Probably offer them up for sale because at $30 a rabbit, like I said, I can, it's worth selling rather than eating them. We'll see how that goes. The quail are doing fine. I did have to dispatch 3 with splayed legs. But other than that, all the rest of them are fine. Doing good. Caesar says, I got eggs from my Shire farm, and they got here in 4 days. Yeah, well, if you're mainland, that's probably a little bit different. Yeah, I'm sure that the shipping goes well that way. But I am kind of surprised that it took them, anyway, I'm just surprised at the whole situation, and I'm sorry to hear that it went so bad. Homestead Matters says, so many internet stories about USPS being extra rough to egg-labeled packages. Yeah, I'm sure that happens. A lot of that's automated, so I'm sure it does happen. Fortunately, anytime I've had eggs shipped, they've always come pretty well, in pretty good shape. So I've never had that issue, but I'm sure that it does happen. Andrew says, I need to find a vendor either in the state or in Washington state that understands shipping up here. Yeah, I don't know of any right offhand, but I'm sure that there are some somewhere. I mean, you just have to do a little bit of research. Unfortunately, I don't know of anybody. Let's see. Tara says, one hen cakes poop on her feet. Will it harm her, and how to clean it off without harming her, please? Okay, so hang on. Okay, so It probably won't hurt her, but clean it off. The easiest way to do that's probably going to be to soak it, like Epsom salt bath. Just soak her foot in that for a little while, let it soften up, and it should come right off. I'm kind of surprised. Do you have them on a solid floor, or do you have them on like a wire floor? I don't really have those issues. So if you have them on a wire floor, I'm be kind of surprised at what's causing that. Andy says they're doing good today. So I'm guessing you're talking about the rabbits you picked up yesterday. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I just sent you the pedigrees. So you got those now, or you should have those now. Anyway, Jammin' Mike says hello to everybody. Hello to you too. Andy Rabbit says my chicks started hatching this morning right on time. Well, good news for that. Congratulations on that. Hopefully you have a great hatch. Brian Allen, good evening from Alabama. Good to see you, Brian. Thank you for joining. Don said to Andrew to look up Northwest Quail Farm. Says, I think they're in Washington. There you go. There's a good suggestion. Andrew said, Tara, have good luck with warm water in a container just big enough for the bird to stand in for about 15 minutes, and then it cakes right off. Yep, there you go. Basically the same thing, yeah. Just a little bit of a soak their foot for a little bit, and it should come right off. G. Michael Jr. says, how rabbits do you process or sell each year? I guess you're meaning how many. It just depends. I don't keep that close a track of them, so I don't know that I could tell you how many. For the last like 4 litters, I pretty much sold all my silver foxes at $30 a rabbit. So, I mean, I haven't processed a rabbit in a little while because, like I said, at $30 a rabbit, it's better for me to sell them than it is to let them grow out and process them. But I don't know. I don't know exactly how many I do. So let's see. The last 3 litters, that's probably been somewhere around, let's see. I don't know, probably somewhere around 20 or so rabbits that I'm up to over the last 3 litters. And I may have done a couple earlier in the year to bring it up to probably like 30-ish, roughly, something like that out of those. But then I've just got my Tamucks are just gotten ready to start producing. So I didn't have them really producing all year long. So that'll probably double my rabbit production roughly. Maybe a little over because they tend to have a little bigger litters that grow out a little faster. Andrew says, Don, yes, I order supplies from Northwest Quail. Never thought of them for eggs. I'll look them up. There you go. Hopefully that works out well for you. Bill Cox says, hello all from Middle Georgia. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Andrew says, Northwest Quail has great egg cartons and feed and water ports. There you go. So hopefully you have better luck with eggs from them. Homestead Matters says, first time, just had a 3-week-old quail with pasty butt, a little soak and clean, and all good, but interesting experience for sure. Yeah, I can't say I've ever had that 3 weeks old especially. That's kind of weird. I can't say I've ever had that happen with quail. I've had it happen with chickens. Not super frequently, but it has happened with chickens, but never with quail. It's unusual, and especially at 3 weeks old. Usually that's a really early on kind of thing, but you know, I don't know. Hang on a second. I'm having a hard time. There we go. Got it. I was having a hard time getting things highlighted right so I can keep track of where I'm at. Cindy Rapp says, the quail eggs I set in the incubator last Thursday were candled today, and all have a black blob on the large end of the egg. I see no veining at all. Well, that's not a big deal necessarily. It's kind of hard to see through the quail eggs. You said set last Thursday. So they're only 7 days too. So it's hard to see the veining in there sometimes. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'd give them a couple more days at least. But if you're seeing the dark blob in there, they're probably going to be okay. Bev Smith says, hello to everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. Old Colony Gardens from Stormy, Wisconsin. Good to see you. Dawn says to Andrew, I've been wanting their Jumbo Browns for a long time. Sold out a lot. I get my egg cartons from them too. So there you go. Andrew says, okay, random quail question. I have a cage with 12 hens, no roosters, and occasionally get an egg with a blood spot. How? And yes, I'm sure I've watched all 12 lay an egg. So you're saying you get an egg that when you crack it open, it has a blood spot on it? Is that what you're saying? If that's the case, then excuse me. You have a cage with 12 hens and no roosters. Occasionally, okay, I see what you're asking now. Yeah, generally that would be that it's a fertile egg and it started to develop. I don't know of any other way where that could happen. I guess it could happen where, like, if there was some issue with the hen that was laying it in the track while they're developing the egg, maybe it got in there that way. I don't really know. Let me see something. Let me do a quick search here. Okay, so yeah, it just says that it's a these spots are caused by the rupture of a blood vessel on the yolk surface during egg formation. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean that's the AI answer. I guess it could be I guess it could be caused by that. I mean, that's the only thing that would make sense in the case where you don't have a rooster. I didn't realize that would actually happen. I've always thought that blood spots were eggs that started to develop, but I guess it could be like some kind of as the eggs developing in the hen, maybe she had a little bit of a ruptured blood vein or something like that caused a little bit of blood to be deposited in there as the egg was being formed. Tara says to Andrew, thanks to you and Chris. We are absolutely welcome. Let's see. You want to know if it can be hermaphrodite quail? I doubt it. I'm kind of leaning more towards, like I said, blood getting deposited on it as it's being formed is probably, that's the only thing that makes sense. Don says, my new layers usually have blood spots in them until their system gets used to laying. Really, I don't think I've ever had that issue. Never. Never that I've noticed anyway. Huh. Andy Rabbit says, it was nice seeing you yesterday, Chris. Well, you too. It was good to hang out for a few minutes, get to talk a little bit. Hadn't seen you like in person since QuailCon, so been a little while. Don says, Thunder going to put my headsets on and go close up the quail. Well, we will see you back here shortly, hopefully. Hope everything goes well. It's not too serious of a storm. Sexton Outdoors says hello to everyone. Hello to you too. Glad that you made it. And then the chat has slowed down a little bit. So let's see. What can I talk about while we wait for the chat to catch up and give me something else to talk about? Well, for anybody that cares, I did not get a turkey during turkey season. Last weekend was the last weekend. I went Saturday all day. Never even heard a turkey. Did see one. Let's see. We did see one turkey, I think. I'm trying to remember. Did I even see one on Saturday? Yes, we did. We saw two toms out in the field, but they would never respond to a call. They went into the woods. We lost track of them. Don't know where they went. Never did respond to us. And then Sunday was Mother's Day, so I didn't hunt on Sunday. Spent the time with my wife, and we got her kids and took her out to dinner. So didn't happen. Cedar says, I got a nice tom, 17 pounds. Well, I'm jealous. I didn't get anything. Got close a couple times. I mean, got a couple of birds to come in real close. Got one that I tried to sneak up on and almost got to it, but they were just moving through the woods. I couldn't catch up to them. But that was it. So kind of a disappointing season. I don't know. It wasn't terrible. I mean, we had, like I said, we heard some gobbles. We got a couple of toms to come in close, but not close enough. So I guess it could have been worse. Andrew says, Chris, I have a question about your style of cages. Two, how long of life do you get out of the wire bottoms, and how frequently do you change out the sand? Okay, well, I mean, the wire lasts for a very long time. In fact, I don't think I have replaced that wire since I started. Now, I did have a problem on one side where I put, let's see, it rusted out on one side where the sandbox was in one of my hutches because I'm trying to remember exactly. There was a leak in the roof, basically, but it was on the part where the sandbox was. So it had basically gotten wet. The sand had gotten wet, and it caused it to rust out. Wasn't a big deal because the plywood's there already. I mean, it's covered with that, so it's not a big deal for that. But other than that, the wire lasts. I mean, I haven't changed it out at all. How often do I clean out the sandbox? I don't know, probably once every about 3 months or so. It depends on how many birds I have in there. If I have a pretty full cage, I do it just slightly more frequently. I just clean it out whenever it starts to get super dusty in there and dirty, and probably once every 3-4 months, something like that. If I have a full cage, maybe once every 2 months. I'm not sure exactly how often, but that sounds about right. And I don't actually change the sand out. What I do is I use a screen. I think it was an RV screen is what it was, but it's got a little frame on it. And I sift it and sift out the droppings, let the sand fall through. And then I have to add new sand to it maybe once a year or something. But that's about it. Bill Cox says, I had a turkey take out my windshield on my truck last year. Oh, no. That's terrible. Homestead Matters says, come to Eugene. We have to brake to avoid hitting wild turkeys. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we have turkeys around here. I see them quite frequently, but seeing them on the roadsides and hunting them are two different things. They, just like most animals, they kind of know when they're being hunted, and turkeys seem to know more than any other animal I've ever hunted. They just seem to know that that's what you're at, that you're after them. I don't know how they do, but they do know it. It's, when you go turkey hunting, you see deer, and the deer just walk around like you're not, like, just don't even care. They see you and they're just, hey, how's it going? And just walk on by. When you're turkey or when you're deer hunting, you see squirrels and turkey and the same kind of thing. They're just walking around like no problem. You go squirrel hunting, deer, turkey walk by. I mean, it's whatever you're targeting, what you're hunting is hard to get. Everything else is it just seems to know it's not being hunted and they don't care. It's the weirdest thing, but that's how it goes. Cesar Reyes says, I didn't get one last year. That's how it works sometimes. Yeah, I haven't actually between my cousin and I, we haven't shot a turkey in 5 years. We've hunted, 6 years, 6 seasons now, since we actually got one. But we don't have a ton of turkey where I hunt. So, we just keep going. Eventually it'll work out. Sax Place says, got my garden planted last Sunday. Rains this week with highs 80s temps should make seeds pop up quick. Yeah, absolutely should. Good luck, and I'm sure it'll do well. Andrew says, I'm on the 3rd summer, and one of my cage is getting some rust on the wire. So, interesting. I haven't had that issue. We're pretty humid here. But, it's not really that big a deal to change the wire out on the bottom. I mean, it shouldn't be that big a deal anyway. I'm assuming that's where it's rusting is on the bottom of the wire. But I haven't really had that many issues with it. Old Colony Garden says, hey, Chris, do you count the sandbox as part of the square footage when deciding how many quail to put in? Yeah, I do. I just count the whole cage. That's how many quail. They're pretty much all going to hang out in the sandbox a lot of the time anyway. But I just count the whole cage. That's how many square foot I have and how many quail I can put in there. Jacob says, what's the consistency on rabbit cage flooring upgrades? I need to order more cages, PVC coated or galvanized after wire upgrade worth it. If you can afford it, the PVC coated is actually, now that I think about it, I'm not sure. I haven't used it for rabbits. I don't know if they would chew on it, if it would cause any problems like that. I've always used just the galvanized after wire. I don't know. I haven't tried the PVC coated. It's pretty expensive. So I haven't actually tried it. But the galvanized after has worked pretty well for me. Every once in a while I have to change a cage floor out, but it's not too bad. I say every once in a while, like every several years. They'll last several years before I have to replace them. But that's what I've always used. We got Tony from Toronto. Good to see you. Old Colony Garden says, thanks, Chris. Well, you're absolutely welcome. So we're at 7:25. We got just, 34 minutes left. Plenty of time. So get your chats in there so you can keep me occupied because I don't have anything planned out to talk about. I don't know what else is going on. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, here in rural Ohio, you can't go 2 minutes down the road without seeing turkeys in the cornfields. Like I said, I see them all the time around here too. Not as much where I go to hunt them. I mean, I see them occasionally in that area, but seeing them and hunting them, like I said, it's two different things. It's significantly different. And Jacob says, agreed, Lee. I saw 3 this morning. Yeah. Sax Place says, question, gravity water cups or horizontal nipples? My quail just can't seem to get the hang of the cups with the yellow fingers in them. I'm leaning on gravity fill cups. How do you know that they're not getting the hang of those cups, I guess, is the question. When you go out to fill them up, do they just swarm it like they're just dying of thirst? Or are you just seeing them dry all the time, so you think they're not getting them? Because they won't hold water. I like those the best because they don't hold a bunch of water. They don't tend to get super filthy or anything like that. And, you know, they figure it out pretty quick in my situation. If you had to switch over, you know, which one's best, I didn't really like the gravity fed cups. They just seem to waste a lot of water. They just hold water all the time and kind of get pretty. You said they swarm when you fill them up or when you put water in the jar. Well, maybe they aren't then. I've never had too many problems getting them used to them though. So you might try the water nipples. They seem to work pretty well. I use those in my heated water. It has the nipples on the side. They figure those out pretty quick, and it works pretty well for them. Let me check something. It's getting warm in here. Let me check my thermostat, see what I've got the temperature set at. Yeah, I think I need to kick it down a degree or two. Get the air conditioner to kick on and cool it off just a little bit. 76 degrees in the house. All right, where are we at here? Homestead Matters says, we're starting rabbits in September. We planted some lettuce, spinach, comfrey, and Swiss chard. What other greens would you recommend in prep to reduce feed costs? Well, not lettuce. Lettuce is really, I mean, it's not terrible, I guess, as long as you're not feeding iceberg lettuce, but I would stay away from lettuce. Spinach, comfrey, Swiss chard are all pretty good. Let's see, what else could you feed? I mean, just good grief, all kinds of things. Probably radish tops. You don't want to feed any nightshade plants to them, which would be like tomatoes or peppers or potatoes, I think would fall into that category. Just the plant part. The fruit's okay, but the plant part is a nightshade. You don't want to feed that to them. What else would you plant for rabbits? Alfalfa, if you've got enough space. I mean, that's one thing. Those kinds of greens that you're talking about right there, those should not be their main diet. It should just be part of their diet. It's not complete nutrition for them. Now, you can always, harvest, what do you call it? Scavenge for it, I guess. Like harvest things out of your yard for them, grass clippings and dandelions and, all that kind of stuff for them as well. But you could definitely use some of those greens that you're talking about to supplement their pellets and reduce your feed costs a little bit that way. You just don't want to switch them over to completely greens. Those are going to be a little too much fiber and not a great as the bulk of their diet, if that makes sense. You'd have to look it up. I don't have anything right off the top of my head that I can think of. Like I said, if you had a big area, you could plant a lot of alfalfa. That'd be a way to go. But I can't think of anything right offhand. But I would stay away from too much lettuce. It's usually not super nutritional and can lead to issues with like diarrhea and stuff like that. Most of your leaf lettuce is okay in small amounts. You just don't want to go too overboard with it. Andrew says, we don't have turkeys here, but the grouse are plentiful. See at least 5 a week. Just on my way to work. Can't go for a walk in the woods without flushing them out. Yeah, we don't have grouse. We have quail, which bobwhite quail is what we have native here. They almost disappeared for a while, but they're starting to make a little bit of a comeback. We're starting to see them. And the turkey population's really kind of grown. I mean, when I was a kid, we didn't have turkey at all. Conservation departments kind of reintroduced them and got them going, and they're pretty plentiful now. Sax Place says, yep, they swarm that whenever I fill up. Okay, we already commented on that. 340 Quail Farms here says, hey, Chris and everyone, Central Florida checking in. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Cassie says, hey, Chris, my husband got me 6 show quality Californians for Mother's Day, $2 and 4 does. I'm so excited. Well, that's an awesome gift. Hopefully they all do well. Californians are a great breed. I'm sure you'll have good luck with them. Old Colony Garden says, you would think if they were swarming it when you fill it, they would most likely be drinking it all. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, if they're swarming it when they're drinking, usually they figure it out that way. They go to the water cups whenever you push the little plunger and fill them up with water. They'll swarm to it. They'll drink a bunch of it, and as they try to get to the bottom, they're hitting that thing, and it's letting more water out, and they kind of figure it out. I haven't had issues with it, so I don't know. Andrew says chickweed is chickweed good for rabbits? I give the quail as a treat, or occasionally they love it and go crazy for it. Yeah, chickweed you can feed to rabbits for sure. Chickweed, plantain, any of those kinds of, probably henbit, dead nettle, whichever one you have, maybe both, that grow. Those are those little flowers that come up in the spring. They got a kind of green leafy, hangs down with purple flowers on them. That's henbit or dead nettle. They both look pretty much the same, but either one, they're edible for humans and rabbits. But again, don't go too crazy and don't switch them over too drastically to that stuff. You want to give them little bits at a time, let them adjust to that. They don't take to diet changes extremely well. So if you've been feeding pellets and you want to start feeding greens, go light on them at first, gradually increase the amount that you're giving them. Homestead Matters says, oh Lord, didn't even think of grass as duff or foraging. I'll look into that too. Thanks. Yeah, foraging is the word I was looking for. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, what's the weirdest animal everyone has ever eaten? I had camel and it wasn't too bad. I don't know if I can think of what the weirdest animal. I've been to a couple of those like beast feed. I don't know. They call them different things in different places, but it's put on by a church. They have all kinds of different weird wild animals. You get a little sample of each one, and then like a pulled pork sandwich, and then they have a speaker that comes up, gives his testimony and all that kind of stuff. I've been a couple of those. So I've had, bobcat, possum. Those are probably the two weird ones. Wild boar. I've eaten alligator, crawdads, frog legs, and I don't know what's the weirdest thing. Sax Place says, liked my Californias. We won several grand champions at County Fair for a market class pen of 3 rabbits. Nice. Yeah, Californias are pretty good ones. Andrew said whale and bearded seal, and my wife ate polar bear. Interesting. Joy says, I've been putting tall grass for my rabbits along with dandelions and other edible weeds. The baby bunnies love it. Yeah, I bet they do. Alan says, do you guys have ringneck pheasants out that way? Not in my area. I think they may be. Let me check something here real quick. Let me see if they're native to Missouri. Yeah, only about the northern quarter of Missouri. Do we have pheasant at all? I don't know if we do. Yeah, just in the very northern corner, and it's ringnecks, but that's the only pheasants, and not in my area. I'm in southwest Missouri, so no, not here. Life Done Cheap with Lee wants to know, how was the whale? I imagine it's pretty fatty, isn't it? But probably decent. I mean, Cassie says, I plan to grow fodder for my rabbits. Is there anything I should avoid giving them? There's probably lots of things you should avoid giving them, but probably not a whole lot that you would be growing as fodder. Honestly, if you're going to do fodder, probably the cheapest and best way to do it is either alfalfa or like wheat or barley, maybe. Any of those kinds of things. Those are going to be the cheapest things that you can do that's going to probably work out well for fodder, and those are going to be fine. I don't know that you have to worry about it too much. Do a Google search before you grow something weird, and it'll tell you. I can't remember. There's a list of things that they can't have, but anything you would grow as fodder is probably not going to be on that list. Let's see. Poodle Daddles says, how many eggs should a beginner order to get started incubating? That depends. Have you ever incubated eggs before? Are you completely new to incubating eggs? If that's the case, order as many as you can afford, because the more you order, the more likely you are going to be to get at least a decent amount of them to hatch. If you figure you're only going to get a 50% hatch rate, maybe, That's not the best hatch rate, but it's not the worst hatch rate either. So just that's probably a good bet, 50%. If you only order 10 eggs, there's a good chance you're not going to get hardly anything to hatch. But if you order 50 or 100 eggs, well, you got a much better chance of at least getting a pretty decent amount of them to hatch. I can't really tell you. It just depends on what your budget is, how big your incubator is, how many eggs it can hold. If it was me ordering eggs in, I'd probably go with about as many eggs as my incubator would hold. That's what I would do. Andrew says, well, the muck tag, the skin, is like fish-flavored chewing gum. That sounds terrible. The meat boiled or in soup is really good, though. The bearded seal I had was dried, and it was jet black. You dip it in sea oil, and it is amazing. Really. Oh, and I so had beaver that was fantastic. Huh. Also had beaver, huh? I think I've eaten beaver before. Whenever I say I've gone to like those beast feed things, all that stuff is like crock pot cooked. None of it's really good. I don't remember any of that stuff really. Andrew says, sorry, my autocorrect smoking something funky today. That's okay. I figured it out. But none of that stuff that I had was really anything that would stood out as being like just fantastic. I do like crawdads quite a bit. I like frog legs quite a bit. I don't know. Those are weird to some people. To me, it's not. But I like both of those things quite a bit. Let's see. Told Yasso, I don't know how to pronounce that, says, first time 7-month-old doe kindled 5 nights ago. She's totally ignoring the litter. I've been force feeding them for 4 nights. I pin her down, and she fights the whole time. They aren't getting enough. What makes you think she's not taking care of them? I mean, you're probably never going to see her tend to them. Never. It's just how rabbits are. They tend to just look like they're ignoring their litter completely. Feed them in the middle of the night when nobody's around. But unless they're like super scrawny, there's probably not much to worry about. I've never had a rabbit actually abandon her litter. I don't know. I mean, if you are having issues with them being super scrawny, it might be good to find some kind of like kitten milk replacement. You can go to a feed store and get that, and try to feed them with like a little syringe or something like that to give them a little bit of supplemental feeding with them. But chances are she's feeding them. Just you said one's already died. Both she and I are so tired. I hate this. This is where we are, but I have decided to let nature take its course. Maybe she'll surprise me and take over. Don't know what else to do. That's not a terrible thing. I mean, just let her see how well she does. One already died. She kindled 5 nights ago. How many did she have? That's another question too. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, that doesn't sound good to me. LOL, Andrew. Yeah, it didn't sound good to me either. But Dawn says, the worst thing I ever ate was calamari. I've had good calamari and I've had bad calamari. So I get it. The bad calamari wasn't, I wouldn't say awful. It was nowhere near the worst thing I've ever eaten, but it was like chewy and not real good. Good calamari, though, was pretty good. Let's see. Andrew says, we eat weird in Alaska. Yeah, not weird to you, right? Just weird to everybody else, huh? Jacob says, I ate some beaver before, too. Okay. Oh, told you so. That's what your name, that's how you pronounce it. Okay. Well, that makes sense now. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, you lost me at fish bubblegum. Yeah, me too. Let's see. Andy Rabbit says, look like out of 1 cage so far, I have 17 chicks. Well, nice. That's pretty decent, isn't it? Told You So says, super scrawny and one has died. A second 9A on the way out. I have kitten replacement, but read that they aspirate easily. Well, you could try it. I'm not sure. I think there was a typo there somewhere. I'm not sure what that means. A second 9A on the way out. I don't know if that means a second one on the way out. Like you had one, they're super scrawny, one died. Maybe you have a second one that's about to die too. Yeah, I'm sorry you're having those issues. She had 5, and now we're down to 4. Yeah, that's not Hey, there's War Child. Good to see you. Yeah, she had 5. She's down now, down to 4. Yeah, that's not an overly big litter, so that wouldn't be the good reason for losing them. Are you feeding her anything weird? Like you're not feeding her a bunch of like greens and things like that? Dandelion, mint. Dandelion is similar to mint, I believe. If I'm remembering right, mint. Anything in the mint family can cause them to dry up and not produce much milk. So that may be part of the issue too. But and you said she's a first time mom. Don't. I'm kind of with you. I'd probably let nature take its course, see how well she does. If she loses them, rebreed her and try again. Unless you want to try to hand feed them, which is tough. Like you said, they can't aspirate it. But I mean, what's the alternative? So I don't know. I would probably just like you said, let nature take its course, see how she does. First time mom, don't hold it against her. Give her some, give her another chance. Don says the bad calamari reminded me of eating slugs. Oh, I did eat slugs one time on a cruise ship. What are they? It's not called slugs. They call it escargot, which is probably just a French word for slugs. I don't know. But anyway, it wasn't bad, but it was like saturated in butter with Parmesan cheese, and it was okay. It wasn't anything I would like really want all the time, but it wasn't bad. Andrew said, calamari and octopus are absolute bottom of my list. I'll go after the fish bubblegum first, LOL. I've had octopus a few times, and the way I had it, kind of liked it. It wasn't bad at all. Cassie Romanos says, I hatched 12 out of 32 on Easter. You know what? I keep forgetting. You guys are going to have to remind me. I keep forgetting that I'm set on top chat only. I just changed it to live chat. So if I missed your comment and you thought I was ignoring you, it wasn't intentional. It probably didn't show up for some reason. All right. Where's this at? Cassie said I hatched 12 out of 32 on Easter. I got some amber fees from Zach at my shire. I didn't even ask, but he refused me 50% and gave me some good advice for the next time. I plan to get a Brincy incubator first. He refused you 50%. I don't know what that means. Refused. Do you mean he refunded you 50%? And gave you good advice for the next time? I plan to get a Brincy incubator first. Okay, well, I'm having a hard time figuring all that out exactly, but I think I got it figured out. You hatched 12 out of 32 on Easter, huh? Well, that's not great for sure. I would check calibrate your thermometer on your incubator, get a couple of good, calibrated thermometers that are, make sure they're accurate, throw them in there, run your incubator for a little while, see what they read. Chances are you're probably running just a little bit on the low cool side. You may need to bump your temperature up just a little bit. And that's not going to matter. Whatever incubator you have, that's the first thing that would cause, issues with hatches. And that's most of the time, that's the issue. All incubators have a chance to read a little bit wrong. In fact, I don't know that I've ever had an incubator that was exactly right. I always have to adjust it up or down just a degree or two. So it may read like 90, it may read 100 degrees, but it's actually only 99.8 or something like that. Told You So says oats and black oil sunflower. So you're feeding her just oats and black oil sunflower, or are you feeding her pellets and things too? Now, both of those things should be okay. I don't know how much black oil sunflower you're giving. It's pretty high in fat. So, I mean, if she's overweight, that could be a little bit of an issue, but I doubt that's it. You said she's a sweet girl. Yeah, but she's a first-time mom, and sometimes weird things happen with first-time moms. So, I mean, it's not uncommon to lose the litter on a first-time mom. If they made it 5 or 6 days, that's actually quite a while for a first-time mom. Andy says this is from only one hen and one rooster. The parents were hatched out December 2022. Yeah, that's a long time. I remember talking about that with you. Yeah, that's a long time for them to still be fertile and still laying fertile eggs. So, yeah, well done. Bev says escargot is snail, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is snail. Homestead Matters says grilled and marinated octopus and squid are delicious. Yeah, I kind of like them too. I mean, times I've had them both, I kind of liked them. I've had some squid, calamari. like I said, that wasn't really that good. So I can understand. I wouldn't say it was terrible, but it was pretty good. Bev Smith says Zach has warranty for 50% hatch. I'm not sure why he refused you unless he thought it was user error. Andrew says, honestly, doesn't surprise me from Zach now. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. But anyway, Told You So says pellets and Timothy. Okay. It sounds like you're doing everything right. I would just chalk it up to first-time mom issues. Give her another try, see how well she does. Bev Smith says, I never had an issue with ordering or hatching from him. No, I haven't either, and I've had nothing but good things about him. I've never heard of any issues, so hopefully it's just a one-off thing. I don't know. Hopefully it's not that bad. Told You So says, I just started supplementing oats and a little boss upon kindling. We're tapering now back to Timothy and pellets soon. Yeah, I don't think it's what you're feeding. I don't think that's causing the issue. Like I said, I think it's probably just a first-time mom issue, and you should just, chalk it up to that. If see how she does with the litter the rest of the time. See if she'll handle them. If she'll take care of them, and if she doesn't, try rebreeding her and see how she does there. Buck Reynolds says if they're 5 days old, the doe is feeding. Well, maybe. He's saying he's holding her down and forcing her to let them feed. So that may be part of the reason. It's hard to say. It's pretty common though that I get that question a lot. Like my doe's not paying any attention to her babies. But they won't. You're never going to see it happen, probably. You're going to I've been raising rabbits for a long time, and there's a handful of times where I've actually seen them feed their babies. And it's just because I happened to walk out there while they were doing it. Other than that, never. They always look like they're just completely ignoring them, like they're not going to have anything to do with them. And then they all make it. It's okay. So, Homestead Matters says, everyone hit the like button. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we got 22 likes so far. Cassie Romanos says, let's see, I have the Nurture Right 360, and it's so hard to maintain good humidity levels here in Texas. Automated humidity control is on my list also. It was a typo. I meant refunded. I adore the MyShire team. Yeah, I kind of figured out what you were saying there. I wouldn't worry about, what part of Texas do you live in? Is it like super dry desert area? Or, if you live in, I don't know, East Texas, it's pretty humid there. I wouldn't even worry about humidity too much. Humidity is not as important as temperature, really. So unless you're like super dry, I don't know that I'd worry about it too much. I very seldom ever put hardly any, in the summertime anyway. We're usually like 70% humidity, or more here in Missouri in the summer. And I very seldom even add water to my incubator until lockdown. And then I just fill up the little container, the sides, and lock it down. Andrew says, well, hope you all have a beautiful day. Great talking again, Chris. Have a good day, and God bless. God bless you, too. Time to go be productive, huh? Well, be productive, and thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Told You So says survival tactic. Talking about the rabbits not paying any attention to their babies. Yeah, it is. You're right. They don't want to draw attention to their babies. You'll see it with wild rabbits, too. You find a nest, a wild rabbit nest, you never see the rabbit around it. They just come and feed their babies and leave. That's it. G. Michael Jr. says, do you increase your rabbit's protein intake during winter months? Not really. They pretty much, I like to use at least an 18% pellet anyway. So it's fairly high, protein, but I don't do anything different in the wintertime. Maybe just slightly more feed if they're eating more. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They tend to do pretty well in wintertime. I don't really have any issues. It's the heat of summer that's a little bit hard on them. But I don't really do anything different. We got 10 minutes left, so we got some time to get a couple more, well, quite a few more, probably 10 minutes. We got plenty of time to get quite a few more chats in here. But again, this is a time where I need to have something planned to fill the dead air, and I don't. I never do. I always complain about that, don't I? You think I'd learned and figured that out. Let's see what else is going on around here that I can talk about. Like I said, got a bunch of brush to clean up. I think I've told this story. You guys, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I had the tree that fell. Good grief, it's been over a year now. But it's finally getting all cut up. Got somebody that's coming over. They wanted the wood for firewood. So they're cutting it all up, going to come over and haul it all away. Well, it's been raining, so they haven't been able to get over here. But there's a whole pile of, like bark and things like that he's not going to be able to use that he piled up. He said he'd take care of it. I was like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. He's doing this for me. I can do that. But we got the free tree limb drop off this weekend. So if it's not too, it's not storming Saturday early, I need to get out there and get that done. I got a pile that's, I don't know, it's probably, 5.5, 6 feet tall. Well, probably up 5.5 feet. I don't think it's taller than I am. So about 5 feet tall, 5.5 feet tall, something like that. And probably 4 or 5 feet, wide, or probably 10 feet around, all the way around. It's a pretty good pile. Joy says, when do you wean bunnies off the mom? I do it at 6 weeks or older. Usually somewhere around 7 weeks old is when I wean them off. You really don't want to do it. I know there's people that do it earlier. It's best to wait till at least 6 weeks before you wean them off. Cassie says, I'm in North Texas. The humidity is much different than Florida. It can be 30% outside one day and tornado weather with lots of rain the next. Yeah, well, that's pretty much everywhere in this area. North Texas, huh? So northeast, northwest, I don't know. Because like Dallas is still pretty humid, I would think. You may not have to worry about the water too much, or the humidity too much. G. Michael says, are you working on any projects this summer? I don't have anything necessarily planned out to work on. If I do, I'll definitely film it. Probably need to repaint my quail hutches, but that's not that big of a deal. They're starting to, the paint's fading. I don't want them to rot away, so I probably do need to slap some paint on them. I don't know. Not a whole lot, really. Homestead Matters says, I have to drop it due to toddlers. Hope you all have a great week. Thanks. Well, thank you for joining. Hope everything goes well. Sax Place says, I cut up a large locust limb last weekend. Man, that's some hard wood. Yeah, locust wood is hard. You're right. So the tree I had come down was cottonwood. It's not terribly. It's a little hard, but it's not that bad. They're getting it all cut up. They've got a big portion of it already cut up, but it's just been raining so much they can't get, the ground's been so wet they haven't been able to get back to it the last couple of weeks. So, but it's getting done. They're going to eventually bring a trailer over and haul it all off too. Joy Guthrie says, thank you, Chris. You are very welcome. And Old Colony Gardens gives us a thumb up. I don't know what the thumbs up is for, but you're welcome for that too. 6 minutes left. We got plenty of time. So yeah, as far as projects go, the big project, I've got some brush to clean out. I got to clean out behind my shed. There's some trees growing up back there. I need to get them all cut down and cleared out before they get too big. Bill Cox says, any ideas what happened at my shire? The reason they are out of jumbos? Did they have a die-off? Well, I haven't heard anything. I don't know. I haven't talked to Zach in a little while, so I don't know. I don't think Verna's here tonight. She might know if they did. And it could just be, it's springtime. It's when everybody's ordering all the time. So it could be that he's just out because there's too many orders coming through for eggs right now. Sax Place says, I have a bunch of cottonwood, softwood in my opinion, and have 4 large ones, probably 80 feet tall. The snow is starting to fly. Oh, my allergies. Yeah, that's the worst thing about cottonwoods. We have several of them too. But yeah, you go to mow the yard and all that fluff that comes off of them, man, it gets all up in your face. I don't have allergy problems, but it's still super annoying. And that one that fell was probably an 80-foot. It's an old tree, a couple 100 years old, I'm sure. It was big. It was a big cottonwood. Bev says, I'm still cleaning up from our hurricanes last year. Yeah, that'll do some damage, won't it? Says we're under a burn ban at the moment, so I can't get rid of it anyway. Yeah, I don't think we're under a burn ban anymore. We've got plenty, but I got too much wood to burn. And we got a free tree limb drop off where I can just load it up in the truck and take it and drop it off. That's actually easier than burning it. So I'll probably have to make 2-3 trips, but it's not that far away. So it's pretty convenient whenever they open it up once a month. And it's not supposed to be raining Saturday morning, so it's pretty convenient. I should be able to get out there and get most of that taken care of and get it all cleared up. Cassie says, do you have any advice about deworming rabbits? The breeder I picked them up from said he does it quarterly. Do you have a product to use? I would guess probably ivermectin. I don't deworm my rabbits. I mean, unless they have worms, I don't see any reason to deworm them. They may do it once a quarter, but in my opinion, that's overkill. I have never dewormed rabbits. Now, unless you have them on the ground. If you're keeping them on the ground in like ground pens, then you might have to do it periodically because they're in contact with the ground. They're going to have more likely to get parasites. But up in a cage, I've never had a rabbit get worms that I know of. I mean, I would probably know, I would think. Don says he had jumbos a couple of weeks ago. He must be sold out now. Sax Place says, oh, and I'm sorry, back to the deworming. If you feel like you need to deworm them, ask your breeder what they're using. The breeder you got them from, just reach out to them, ask them what they're using, and just use the same thing. But I don't really think you need to. Sax Place says, I tried to pick up at my shire. They're restricting farm visits due to bird flu. Yeah, they have to be super careful about that stuff there because of the being able to sell birds out of state and all that kind of stuff, like ship eggs and all that. They have much stricter biosecurity issues. Don says, I know a few breeders are only shipping in spring and fall and stop for the heat of summer. I don't think Zach does, but I don't know for sure. Bev Smith says, I use a lot of the bigger stuff to bottom fill my new raised beds. The bigger stuff. What bigger stuff are we talking about? Oh, the bigger wood stuff, right? Yeah. So like you're saying now. So Much Joy says, oh my goodness, I forgot about the live stream tonight. LOL. Oh well. Hi and bye, y'all. My 3 kits are growing and looking great. Well, thank you for making it at least for a minute or two. We appreciate that. And glad to hear that your rabbits are doing well, or your grow outs are doing well. I think they're rabbits. Yeah, 3 kits. Yeah, they're rabbits. All right. Well, we got 2 minutes left, but the chat's kind of slowing down, so we may wrap it up. Well, there's a couple of comments coming through. Let's get these out of the way. Cassie says he said that the eggs can be on hay, but mine are in suspended wire cages. The eggs? What? We're talking about rabbits? Oh, you're talking about worms, right? The worms could be on, for them to get worms, I guess. Yeah, I don't really feed much hay anymore either. I used to kind of believe that was a necessary thing, but it's not. I don't think I'd worry about it, honestly. If it was me, I'd never dewormed my rabbits. Never once have I done that. I've never had an issue. Bill says, I'll trade you cottonwood dust for Georgia pine. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their thing, right? At least they're not sweet gums. That seems to be a common thing. Like the conservation department gives away trees all the time, and they're always on the list of trees that you can get from them are sweet gum. That's got to be the worst thing to put in your yard. They're terrible. They throw those little spiky ball things off of them, and just you hit them with the mower, and man, they're horrible. Hate them. Joy says, my 8 kits are doing great as well. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that too. Yep, it is time to wrap up now. Old Colony Garden says, night all. Thanks, Chris. You're absolutely welcome. Thank you guys all for joining me. We're going to get this one wrapped up. I should be back yet next week. Don't see any reason why I won't at this point. So we'll see you guys then. Thanks for joining. As always, God bless.